In terms of Hobby Lobby and Castaneda, like the people who brought the case and all that, you can look at it. It's all about what side of the coin you want to look at it. Like, you can say, well, you're discriminating against by not providing, and the argument that they made, they proved in court, in the same court that decides everything else for us, and the court that's usually was leaning conservative now, so it was kind of expected. But they're saying, well, you're telling people that they have to do something that's against their will, which is wholly unconstitutional. So I don't necessarily see as much of discrimination. I just look at it as people finding a very valid way of using that as an out to doing something that they really didn't want to do.
Which loophole is bigger than the other?
Which loophole is bigger?
Which loophole, like, you're doing this because...
Well, it's hard to call the Constitution of the United States of America a loophole.
See, yeah.
Right. It is
a loophole.
No, it's
because the Constitution is applicable in only certain situations.
Well, the Constitution is applicable all the time. It's America. That's what we're founded on. That's what we run by.
I don't believe that it's applicable in all situations.
What part of the Constitution do you not believe is applicable?
I was just saying, like, sometimes it works for people, and sometimes it doesn't work for people. I think it is a loophole. Like, the Constitution can act or serve as a loophole.
Yeah, in terms of the actual definition of loophole, I disagree with that. What I will say is I do think that there's certain things, like the NRA and the guns, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like there's certain things that you can look back to and just look at the language and definition of it as it stands there and say, well, as per this, I don't have to XYZ or I can XYZ. I think that's different than a loophole, because a loophole is usually something that's built in as a backdoor way out of something. No, it wasn't. My point is, it wasn't built in as an out. Like them saying.
I see what you're saying.
It's like when they do laws in certain states where it's like, but if you do this, then you don't have to abide by it, right? Like property taxes in Long Island. Like, well, if you do this and this, well, then you don't have to do that. That's a loophole. The Constitution of the United States of America is not. But if you use it to get out.
I just think there are back doors. It's Hogwarts. There are back doors here, there's front doors here, there's side doors here.
That's just the American legal system, my friend.
All right. So what does this mean now?
In terms of the family, or for women, or for just the
women, for corporations that are going to be like, oh, word?
Well, I think the corporations who don't want to provide it, now kind of really don't have to. I think that there'll be raging debate within some of them in terms of upper level management to say whether or not we should or we shouldn't as a moral thing. But I do think you'll see certain people just be like, well, if I want these things provided to me, well, I just can't work here and I can't work here, can't work there, and just go to their competitors. I do think that in the immediate time, and when I say immediate legally in America, I mean 5 to 7 years, I do think we'll have some effect. I think 7, 8, 9 years, 10 years, I think you'll see a lot more, maybe not these initial group of corporations and companies, you'll see a lot more people saying, okay, we'll provide this, because this is just the right thing to do for our staff or for our employees that are working incredibly hard for us, and they need this to sustain their quality of life. So I do think this.
Or it can go in the opposite direction where corporations feel like this and it just kind of contributes to poverty.
Yeah, I think that would be a very minute, small subsect of corporation. I don't see the number. That's why I said initially, 5, 6 years. I don't see the number getting bigger outside of 6 years from now. I feel like you'll have certain groups like Walmart. You have groups. You have groups that'll be like, we're not going to do this. We're just never going to move from it. Okay. I don't think you're going to get those groups and that start to expand 5, 10, 15 years from now. That I don't think is going to happen.
Do you think companies will become a little bit more inclusive and say, well, we don't want to be known that we stand for this? Even though it's kind of on the opposite side of the down.
That's the point that Sean made. That's why I feel like it won't expand, because there'll be companies that will say, well, we don't want to, we don't need to, but we should. As a branding thing, as something for our employees, we should do this. You'll see some of that. That's why I think that list will expand way before the list of people say absolutely hell no will expand. Doesn't make, as a business model, doesn't make sense. How are you going to retain employees if you can't fully provide a service that they need to live, to sustain a quality of life? Yeah, well, we got Michaels. We got Michaels. We got the R-Store on Craig Street.
Listen, a quick question, just to school us young brethren. I know birth control is used for different reasons.
Yeah.
Because since they all used for different reasons, it's not just for the one single thing that pops in our mind.
Yeah.
Can you list?
Yeah. Like me, I say I take birth control, but obviously I'm not sexually active with men because I'm gay. record because of it, and you get really sick. So taking birth control helps regulate your hormones. It's not just a contraceptive. So there are going to be women out there that might need it for that. What are some of the things that women might need birth control for? For their skin.
My high school girlfriend was like that.
It's a hormone regulator, right? So it's not just as a contraceptive. It's other things. That's why I use it. If I didn't take my birth control, I'd be sick every month, guaranteed.
Right.
Every month.
See that? So I mean,
it's not just.
I think the preconceived notion is, look, shorty, birth control, you be alright. What you doing? Like, are you doing something that you needed? But it may be a little bit more stringent right now with our generation. Do you think it's vital to our generation? Like, if you see young girls, coming up and growing, would you say, okay, well, I don't know what you're doing, but knowing the usual symptoms and the plagues that we go through is probably best for you to go on birth control, or is it just you kind of suffering silence?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know necessarily if it's strictly a generational thing, right? Because obviously when they're grown women, it's going older than people our age and younger than us that need it.
I guess under 18, but still teenagers, to the point where they're still young women, but they feel problems and they go through.
Oh yeah, I mean, so and hopefully she doesn't mind this, but like I said, my high school girlfriend was on birth control the whole time that I knew her, so for 3 years, right? And so she was on it our junior senior, we graduated senior.
Just some extra wraps. My shoulder's starting to give out, cramp up. Maybe 100 degrees. Thanks.